Hey, Discover. Today, we're going to revisit episode 29 with Isabel Smith, a registered dietitian known for her holistic approach to wellness. Dive deep into the nuances of histamine reactions, mold toxicity, and the often overlooked role of gut health in our overall well-being. Hear personal stories of illness and recovery, and gather practical advice on managing allergies and improving digestive health. Isabel shares her journey from dealing with Lyme disease and anaphylactic allergies to building a successful practice that helps medically complicated individuals find the missing pieces of their health puzzle. This episode is packed with valuable tips for anyone facing gut and allergy challenges. Whether you're interested in learning about mold sensitivity, the impact of constant food presence in our intestines, or the intricacies of histamine and mast cell activation, this episode is a must listen. Keep listening to discover why gut health should never be dismissed and how small steps can lead to significant health improvements. Listen to episode 29 of the Discovery Doc podcast for the full conversation and start your journey to a better health today. Welcome back to the Discovery Doc podcast. I'm your host, medical mystery overachiever, Anna Kate, alongside my co-host, functional medicine toxin tamer, Dr. Cece, Doctor of Nursing Practice. And today we revisit episode 29. Where we sit down with Isabel Smith, a master of all things gut health and histamine. Ever wonder why after one meal you feel kind of off? Isabel is here to unravel the mysteries of mold sensitivities, anaphylactic allergies, and how it is in our gut that could be the key to wellness. Get ready for some eye-opening insights, practical tips to manage your health in ways you might not have expected. Keep listening as we revisit episode 29.
On our behalf as the practitioners, right? It's like, okay, so we've checked that. There's always more things for us to look at behind the scenes, honestly. What else? Exactly. So, I like the medically complicated folks. So over time, our flavor has become what you see on the interwebs. But if I'm honest with you, we have transplant clients, we have cancer clients, we have pretty much everything. We've got kids. I've got a ton of little kids with mold toxicity and histamine stuff. I've got ages 5 to 95 really is what we see. Yes, a lot of gut, a lot of hormone, a lot of all the things you see online, but also pretty much everything you don't. We also do see eating disorders. But on the interwebs, if you help everybody, you help nobody. So, we focus in the areas that really do act as the epicenter for the rest of, the being, which is the gut, the hormones, the allergy, the gut lining, the environmental toxicity. Environmental illness is one of our biggest issues these days, and will continue to be forever forward. So that's sort of like how it started. I now have a team of 9 people who work with me. So that's also really fun, fabulous, and takes up a lot of my time. I can't help as many people as I want to if it's just me. So, we're going to continue to grow and expand so that we can help as many people as possible.
Amazing. So many things in there so I actually love when patients come to me. The patient that I get sitting in front of me is absolutely always the patient that's like, I've been everywhere, I've seen everybody, and nothing is helping, and I still feel like garbage. And what I love about that is that they've crossed everything conventional off. Where they've had all the imaging. These patients have had endoscopies and colonoscopies and upper GI, lower GI, all these imaging and all of these non-diagnoses. And it helps me because I'm like, hey, it's not any of that. So what is it? And I actually like that a lot. And unfortunately for the patient, of course, they're at the point where they're so frustrated because they've been through the ringer and not had answers. But then, and I'm sure this is you too, but then I come around and I'm like, okay, you've collected data points for me. And all of this is, quote, negative. Where are the missing puzzle pieces? Where are the holes? That is what I'm looking for. And that,
And it tends to be really easy for y'all to fix.
That's the thing. I say this all the time too. Complicated cases, when I get my eyeballs on something, I'm like, bro, look at this. Of course you feel this way.
And sometimes, how could you miss this thing, right? Did you even talk to the patient? Well, and I'm like, but they told you that their hair was falling out and they can't get out of bed in the morning. So that's pretty much what I need to know.
Or when patients come and they bring me labs and I'm like, hey, did anybody go over these labs with you? And they're like, no, not at all. I have no idea what this means. They said it just looks all normal. And I sit there with a fine-tooth comb and nitpick every little marker. And it's about not putting patients in that box and saying, well, you look fine, everything looks okay. But rather being like, no, you have symptoms. I honor and respect and hear you that you have those symptoms. So we are going to go find out why. And I think something that you mentioned before we started recording is, I think for me, like I work in this field because I struggled with Lyme disease for so long. And until I turned to functional medicine and it was eradicated and now I'm so much better, it allows me to have that compassion for patients who are struggling on a chronic level. And I just want to, don't yell at me. I just want to touch briefly on if you're comfortable with it, your history a little bit, because I think it validates who you are as a dietitian, the things that you struggled with.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to make sure we get her on for another episode and dive into all the nitty-gritty juicy things that I want to ask her on another episode, which is not this episode, but you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about your back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I can make this short. The long and the short of it is that I was 5 years into my practice. Was starting, I mean, I was trained at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, which practices the dietitians there practice functional medicine without actually calling it functional medicine 10 years ago. Okay. So I was trained, that's how I was trained. We talked about juicing, smoothies, supplements, gut, all the things. So when people say to me like, well, like how did you, and I was like, this is just how I think. So thankfully, 5 years into my practice, there's always a little birdie in the background that's like, you're unwell. You're not, just stuff in the background, right? And you're like, no, I'm going to ignore you. So I did. I ended up with melanoma when I was 30, and I was on ADD meds. I've been on them for 5 years. And I was like, there's something's not right here. So I was like, maybe I need to start working on getting off of ADD meds. And I did. It took me a full year to get off of the ADD meds and actually be okay with it. I'd been on them every single day since I was 12 and I was 32. It's 20 years. I had 20 years every single day of my life without a break. As I started to come down off of them, I started to get new anaphylactic allergies. I'd never had anaphylaxis ever in my life. And my labs were perfect. My IgE level was, 10. I had no IgE response to mold, to any of the things, but had to carry an EpiPen in my bag because I was getting like horrible chest tightness. So fast forward, at some point I figured out that there was mold that I couldn't see, because when I'd leave the apartment, we were living in the city at the time. When I'd leave the apartment, I'd feel better. When I'd come back, my face would be like literally this color, beet red. And it was like the body heat. I would lie awake at night and like my body would just like throb. And so, again, this was 2018. So I think in the last 5-6 years, there's a lot more talk about mold toxicity and all of that. At the time, okay, we figured out there was mold in the apartment, but we moved. I was better, but not measurably better. I started to do, once I got a mold urine test, I started to do all the work on that and everything started to get better. My allergies actually went away, but I wasn't perfect. So after I got COVID, after we got married, I went to see a long COVID specialist because I ended up with long COVID. Turns out I was like filling out her paperwork. She's a Lyme specialist also. She gives me like a Lyme intake questionnaire, the MSIDS Lyme intake questionnaire, and it's like 100%. So I like got on the call with her and I was like, so I think I might have Lyme disease. And she was like, looked at it and she's, I think you might have Lyme disease. So we did some deeper IGeneX testing and everything lit up like a Christmas tree. The anaphylaxis went away with my mold treatment. This is like a very truncated version of it, but the Lyme, so it was Babesia. Babesia did not come up positive. Lyme did. We went through the Lyme piece. We then started to go through Babesia. That was like also lit up like a Christmas tree. Even with a negative test result, she knows, and we know that when you've been exposed to Lyme, you are more than likely, positive for other co-infections.
She's had 18 of them. 18.
Lyme and 18 of his friends.
So
that's not a party you want.
Yeah. No, and I think that I'm waiting on a Bartonella test currently because I can tell you.
Your Barty.
Something's not quite right. Yeah. I don't know. I got bitten again. Dogs. It's just unfortunately a problem currently. These are, I think, old infections that are just, kind of being tickled still. And it's day by day. The cold plunge has been the most helpful thing I've done for myself in the last medium while. And in general, the most helpful thing I've done. It helps keep things quiet. But, it's an ongoing process. And I have to be super careful about just how I'm doing, like what's my stress level, what's my sleep, blah, 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 because it seems to kind of bubble up in the background when you're not quite taking care of those things. So it's like this little demon that's just waiting to come out at the perfect moment when you really don't need it to come out kind of thing, which I'm sure you know. Yeah. But anyway, honestly, I'm super grateful for what I know. I'm super grateful to be able to sit on the other end of the phone and say to my clients, I actually know how you feel. I'm super grateful to do what I do. I would not be where I am personally, health-wise, if I didn't do it.
Right, absolutely.
So
it's a blessing in disguise, for sure.
Super grateful.
I appreciate every second of my journey because it's led me to where I am today to be able to help my patients and sympathize with them when nobody else understands. When everybody else, it doesn't look like you're sick. So everybody else is like, well, you look fine, your labs look fine. And in your core that you have been that person that has been told that. It makes you such a better practitioner. And I'm biting my tongue as you were talking the whole time because I see a lot of Lyme patients by default. And one of the things, I want to say this as a general rule of thumb, not diagnosing you, but I've seen in clinic COVID as such a huge activator for that Borrelia-Burgdorferi. Yeah, it's undeniable.
Oh, yes.
That
100%.
long COVID is a ridiculous term for just some sort of autoimmune dysfunction that has awoken.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. 100%. I see this, you guys see this. It's a magnifying glass, right? It's a magnifying glass for other stuff in the background, whether it kind of highlights your Achilles heel. I find whatever that Achilles heel is, whether it's gut stuff, or hormone stuff, or Lyme stuff, or just underlying garbage. When somebody says to me, I really didn't struggle through COVID and I really had it pretty easy and I feel pretty good after, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, you kind of must be squeaky clean in there then if that's the case, because it didn't ignite any, forest fires that were just back there smoldering, waiting to be lit up. It's not always, but in my mind, I sort of have a little checkbox. I'm like, okay, so they got through COVID, they were all right, check, because it kind of does that way.
It does 100%. So. And we are not digressing further than that. Look at me staying on topic because we have some gut health things to talk about. And so
this month is all about gut health.
Whatever. I'm just kidding.
Love it.
But yes, we wanted to bring you on to talk more specifically about gut health. And I think, especially with your history of mold toxicity, firsthand how activating that is for your mast cells, which hence why you're going into anaphylactic shock or anaphylactic reactions when you never had allergies previously. Yeah. So when we're talking about allergies or mast cell activation syndrome or whatever we want to slap just too much histamine as, what is the first thing that you like to educate clients on as the relationship between allergies and gut health?
So one of the things that I find, and you probably do too, is that when somebody steps into my Zoom room, and they're rattling off what they're experiencing, it's not always cut and dry. Histamine is not always cut and dry at all. In fact, it almost is.
Are you or do you know a mother-to-be? Transform your pregnancy and postpartum journey with the Ultimate Pregnancy and Postpartum Guide. Discover a wealth of essential resources and practical tips for healthy and joyful experience. This 30-page comprehensive guide is packed with must-have supplements, safe healing modalities, nourishing recipes, and expert advice to support you during pregnancy and beyond. This guide includes 2 exclusive bonuses. Bonus number 1, Home Birth Essentials Checklist. Ensure a smooth and stress-free home birth experience. Bonus number 2, Navigating Mastitis Naturally. Explore natural remedies to alleviate discomfort and promote healing. Don't miss out on this invaluable resource. Download the Ultimate Pregnancy and Postpartum Guide today and embrace a holistic approach to motherhood. Story time. Small steps, big changes. Emily's tale of gut health and healing. Emily had just returned home from yet another disheartening doctor's appointment. She was frustrated beyond words. Her persistent symptoms of pain, rashes, fatigue, reoccurring digestive issues were met with perplexed looks and an inconclusive diagnosis from medical professionals. Sitting at her table, she wondered if she'd ever find relief. One evening, while scrolling through her podcast app, Emily stumbled upon the Discovery Doc podcast episode number 29 with Isabel Smith. About gut health, it piqued her interest and curiosity. Desperate for answers, she hit play. As she listened to them discuss the complex world of gut health, allergies, and histamine reactions, Isabel's story felt strikingly familiar to her own. Isabel talked about battling anaphylactic allergies, mold sensitivity, Lyme disease, and gut issues with an authenticity that made Emily feel understood. Emily felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. It became clear to her that dealing with these health issues wasn't an overnight fix, but a patient, determined journey. What resonated with Emily was most of the emphasis on celebrating small improvements and tracking symptoms to maintain a positive mindset. For the first time, the road ahead didn't seem so daunting. She understood now that dedicating herself to understanding and nurturing her body could lead to the relief she needed. By the end of the episode, Emily had not just been armed with knowledge, she was inspired. She was ready to approach her health journey with a renewed clarity and resilience. While it could take time and would take time, focusing on each small victory would drive her forward. Emily embarked on her journey empowered. She's no longer alone in her quest for health. She had found her guide, inspiration, and a source of vital information. Thank you for joining us on this Discovery Digest episode. Don't forget to listen to episode 29 to hear the whole conversation for even more insights. Don't forget to follow Isabel Smith on Instagram at Isabel Smith for more tips and updates. You can also visit her website and check out her Well-Fueled podcast for additional resources. Your support is crucial in helping us reach more people with valuable insights and stories. Take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and share your aha moments from this episode. As you reflect on today's topic, consider that individuals in your life who would benefit from hearing these powerful messages. By sharing this episode and engaging in a meaningful conversation, you contribute to a world filled with hope, empowerment, and transformative solutions. Don't underestimate the impact of your actions. Leave a review and spread the word today. Thanks for listening and being a part of the Discovery Doc. Your health journey is uniquely yours, but you don't have to walk it alone. Together, let's raise awareness, share stories, and empower one another on a path of healing and well-being. See you next time on the Discovery Doc podcast.